Hey everybody, how you doing this morning? It is 8 a.m. on August 23rd, 2020, and I'm going to get into here a few things. We'll talk about the storms that are coming, and we'll also talk about what is being released out into these storms and will continue to be being released from Florida and Texas. We are going to start with a video that I'm sure will creep you out as bad as it will me. But let's look at these storms really quick. This is their actual winds right now, and Marco literally has nothing. They're saying it's 70 miles per hour. The highest I can get was 40. I did see 40 one time, sustained winds, and the models are showing this breaking up a lot. So this is just going to be, it looks like a rain event, maybe, some light winds, but we have no idea because it doesn't matter what these models say. They are all over the place. So us even sitting here talking about the models is almost wasting my time because they are so all over the place. We know they can genetically mess these things up, completely modify these storms, and so they'll do whatever they want with them. And I kept saying that there was something wrong. There's something up. This just didn't seem right, the way that they were covering these, okay? We know they modified them, but they usually are amping this up so much more, the way, saying that these would be so much worse. Now it looks like maybe they are a little bit with Marco, because Marco looks like it's not even half as bad as what they're showing right now. Because like I said, as of right now, they're showing right now that it has 70 mile sustained winds. And I've done 3 different apps, and all 3 of them are showing max about 39 miles an hour. Laura is stronger. It has maxes up in, you can see right here, 50 something I think I got once or twice. But anyways, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this. I want you to see what Mr. Bill Gates just released. And this was brought to my attention by one of my subscribers, Tony Masbo. Thank you so much, brother. You've been great, and I truly appreciate you sending me this information, because it was very eye-opening, and I remember hearing about it in the past. But here we go. Let's get into this. Did that not completely creep you out? Because that was awfully creepy. Why would he release something like that and show that? You think that maybe they're trying to tell you something? Well, check this out. August 20th, 2020. This just come out 3 days ago. Florida is going to release 750 million mosquitoes genetically engineered to decimate the mosquito population. Now, I remember them talking about this with Zika. I remember it with West Nile, how they were talking they were going to do this. They were, and they already did. They've already released a ton of them, and, they messed up all kinds of things, which we're going to get into. But, what are the odds that they would be releasing these right out ahead of this storm? They're saying that they're just going to start releasing them here soon. I had to sit there and look for the date. It says 2021 is when they're going to start really letting these things go out. But we know already that they're already releasing these. When they're talking about it like this, they're starting to, and I could see these storms being exactly what they would release them out in front of, so that they can carry them with the storms up wherever they want them to go and spread these things. Because it would be one thing if it was just the Florida Keys, which is where Laura's going to go through. But let's see where else they're going to release them. Nearly 1 billion genetically modified mosquitoes to be released in Florida and Texas. So, kind of funny that both these storm fronts are on each side, right? We have both that were supposed to hit Texas at one time. One is definitely going through Florida Keys. I don't think that's a coincidence that, they're going to be releasing 1 billion genetically modified mosquitoes in the areas where these storms will be going through or, passing through. And so I started digging into it, looking a little bit more, and it just blew me away. I'm going to try to keep this quick. I have so many articles that just kept coming up that I want to talk about, but I know it'll just make the video too long. So I'm going to do it as quick as I can. This is from the 20th of July. Look at first CV19, now mosquitoes, bracing for bug-borne ills. It just keeps going. So I started digging into it, right? Really deep, okay? This is back from 2012. This is the earliest one I could find when they, an article on it. They were already talking about this back then. Can, genetically modified mosquitoes rid the world of a major killer? They were all talking they were going to be able to do this. We can let out all of these, genetically modified mosquitoes. They'll mate with the females and it will kill, this type of mosquito and stop all these diseases from happening. And then remember, I think it's ironic too that it was exactly 4 years ago, right before the last election, before this was when they were trying to release them. They were seriously talking about releasing them for Zika, and they remember how bad they were pushing Zika, how it was just horrible. Well, here, check out your CNN. This might bring back some memories.
Here's what we know about Zika. Some of it will frighten you, but maybe not as much as you think. It's a mosquito-borne virus, part of the same family as yellow fever, West Nile, chikungunya, and dengue. As things stand now, there is no vaccine to prevent Zika or a medicine to treat the infection. The most common symptoms include fever, rash, headaches, and red eyes. But 80% of people who get Zika won't even know they have it. That's right, there are only symptoms in 1 in 5 people. Now, the virus is spreading quickly across Central and South America and the Caribbean. What makes Zika so scary is this alarming connection between the virus and microcephaly, that is, babies being born with heads and brains that are too small. In Brazil and several other Latin American countries, they've become concerned enough they have asked women there not to get pregnant. In the United States, pregnant women are being told to postpone travel to any of these countries. In case you're curious, this is the bloodsucker everyone's after, the female Aedes aegypti. She's an aggressive biter that, unlike other mosquitoes, feeds mostly during the day. For example, she's different than the mosquitoes that transmit malaria, who like to feed at night. That's important because bed nets won't help as much here. The best way to prevent infections is using insect repellent with DEET, wearing thick long-sleeve shirts and long pants, and staying inside in screened, air-conditioned areas as much as possible.
Love how they've always been pushing the same exact agenda over and over again. This isn't a coincidence that it happened in 2016. They were pressuring everybody and talking about, how bad Zika was, and, it doesn't have a vaccine, and, et cetera, et cetera. Because look, now it is approved. This is back in November. See, this is the whole thing, okay, of 2016. Look at, the Keys approved it back then, okay, but for some reason, what they say is that they didn't end up doing it because some people stepped up in the Keys and stopped it. So, who really knows what they did, but you can see this is all the way back in November 2016, so that's right after the election. Okay, so, it's just always funny how all these things happen right, the mainstream agendas right around, these elections. Another one in March of 2016, look at this. It's just stopping Zika. It was the same thing. Everybody, we had to stop it. It's so bad, etc., etc. They sprayed all the chemicals into the air, and, it was just horrible. And they're going to this is how they do this over and over, And then look, okay, so now this is, guess where they're releasing these things, where they did in 2018? Oh, of course, Africa, right? Gotta go and test all their stuff in Africa, because you guess who's behind all this? Do you think you already know who it is? Because, yeah, it is Bill and Melinda Gates. Of course, right? It had to be them. It's just unbelievable that, he is behind all of this. It's just, it's sick, because they are the ones that are putting this out. They are the ones that are behind all of this type of stuff, and it's just so obvious to see what is happening, okay? You know? So then I just started looking a little bit more. I want you to see all of the information that they show you in all the news just in the past, month or so. Look, here's from my state. Michigan could see busy year as EEE found earlier in mosquitoes. Look, they're talking about scaring everybody. A dangerous, often fatal mosquito-borne illness is showing up earlier in the northeastern United States. This could say it foreshadows a busy year in Michigan as well. Look at this. Watch. State reports third human case of mosquito-borne illness. 2 days ago, this is from Halifax, Massachusetts. Massachusetts has confirmed its third human infection of a rare but severe mosquito-borne illness. Are you catching on? Just like all the rare. I am so sick of hearing rare. They've said it about 100 times with everything in the last month is rare, from the wildfires, fire tornadoes, 2 storms in there. Oh, I'm sick of it. They're rare because you're just creating them, and then they just say they're rare, and then you can just control everything the way that you do. I don't understand how people can't see that. Look at 9 new mosquito samples test positive for West Nile virus. So here we go. This is on the 21st, 2 days ago. Trust me, these are all getting put out for a reason. Then you have, look at, this is back on the 18th of August, a couple days ago. Look at, mosquito control district anticipates need for aerial spraying. So now they're talking about, we need to come out here and we need to spray. We're going to have to start, really knocking down these mosquitoes. So look, and this is up in the Northeast. So, down south, we see them, releasing all these genetically modified, mosquitoes into these storms, and they can spread everything down there by the storms. Move it that way. Well, up in the Northeast, we'll just, instead of that, because we might not be able to get storms up into these areas as easy and get to move your, your deadly chemicals around as much as you want, we'll just go out and we'll just aerial spray everything. So we'll just go out and just poison you, It's just, it's crazy. Look at this. They're going to actually conduct a helicopter application, to control their larvae over the coastal salt marshes. Look at Salisbury, Newport, Newberry, Ipswich, and Raleigh during the day between August 23rd and September 5th. More great poisons that are going into you and your children. And this I found very interesting too. This says Mississippi's next flag could have featured a giant mosquito. It's their state, designer says. This thing comes out. This story is just ridiculous, but listen to it. It was in all kinds of different news articles. It says, and look at the year too, the 33, right? It took a 33-year-old Michelangelo 4 years to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, but 26-year-old Thomas Rosette needed just 5 minutes to create the mosquito flag. Says he never created a flag before, but as a deckhand on the Yazoo River, he spends his days swatting at the pest every Mississippian knows too well, the mosquito. He says, I created the mosquito flag as a joke, but this week it took on a life of its own. I believe people from all backgrounds can get behind this and raise it proudly. He told the Clarion Ledger, part of the USA Today's network, in an exclusive interview. I said something like that in a submission email, and now I actually do believe that. Listen, it says Mississippi is currently in the process of choosing a new flag. Lawmakers took a historic vote this year to take down the old flag, which featured the Confederate battle flag. So it says, Rosette and nearly 3,000 Mississippians have since submitted designs for a new state flag, and some more serious than others. He said he had submitted this flag as a joke, but it made it to the second round of 147 designs. Okay. Guess what? They come out right after this and said, they come out and said that was a complete accident, that it wasn't supposed to be in the final, it wasn't supposed to be voted on at all, that it was a mistake. That was why I thought that was so funny that they bring that up like that with all this going on. This all is symbolism. It's all psychological warfare. Trust me, and this is the thing too. When they start releasing these things, look at this is another one. This is back in 2019, February. They released these genetically modified mosquitoes in high security labs. Yeah, well, guess what? They're getting out. They're all over the place. And what are they doing? They're literally creating hybrid mosquitoes. Okay? And here is the thing from September 17 talking about this. Study on DNA spread by genetically modified mosquitoes prompts backlash. What are we talking about right now with this vax, right? That it's a DNA manipulator, right? It's going to change people's DNA, okay? Well, do you think that it's kind of funny that they're using CRISPR, which is, the one thing we've always, looked into about DNA manipulation, and they're using that to do on these mosquitoes, okay? Well, it's just, we know what's going to happen. People, the information is out here. You have to go and look for it. These things are just another way, or think about it, now they have genetically modified mosquitoes that are going to go out and, be creating hybrids that are going to be biting you, putting God knows what into you, what diseases into you. I've always said that I always felt like they could set us up. All of us truthers talking about how, the CV is not that deadly. It's not, none of it makes sense, etc., etc., etc. And then all of a sudden, they do something like this. You release actually something very deadly into something like a mosquito where it's actually going to use, a hypodermic needle like they have and inject it right into you, okay? Because then they could just say, look, all you idiots, we told you that this was bad. We told you that, this was deadly, I always just feel like they could set us up that way every time, but we still have to cover it the way that we believe, because we are covering the truth, and if that happens, but so be it. But look at it, it says for 10 years the company Oxitec has been testing whether genetically modified mosquitoes can suppress populations of their natural brethren, which carry devastating viruses like Zika and dengue. Its strategy: deploy non-biting male mosquitoes bearing a gene that should doom most of their offspring before adulthood. Okay, now this is another thing too. There was 2 other articles that I had pulled up too that it didn't kill all the females. Okay, so actually some of the genetically modified females were going around biting people. Okay, and then they come out with a study and said, yes, they come out and admitted it. This company right here come out and they said that approximately 5% females do survive and will be able to bite and do this, but it's such a low percentage that we don't need to worry about it. Do you see this? Do you see the writing on the wall? Listen, now a team of independent researchers analyzing an early trial of Oxitec's technology is raising an alarm and drawing fire from the firm with a report that some offspring of the genetically modified mosquitoes survived and produced offspring that also made it to sexual maturity. As a result, local mosquitoes inherited pieces of the genomes of the genetically modified mosquitoes, the team revealed last week in scientific reports. It says there's no evidence that these hybrids endanger humans more than the wild mosquitoes or that they'll render Oxitec's strategy ineffective, but both the paper's authors and the company agree. So we don't have to, just because they say there's no evidence that they'll endanger us, so we're just supposed to trust that, right? You see everything they're messing with. They're messing with everything. From the weather, to animals, to the air, to the food, to the water. You can continue and go on and on and on. You truly are under attack every single day. You just don't realize it. It says the important thing is something unanticipated happens, says population geneticist Jeffrey Powell of Yale University, who did the study with the Brazilian researchers. Yeah, they released a ton in Brazil too in 2017. So, they did these tests everywhere. When people develop transgenic lines or anything to release almost out of their information comes from laboratory studies. Things don't always go the way you expect. Do you think the writing's on the wall right there? Things don't always go the way that you expect. Yep, well, 100%. But we are going to leave this here. Like I said, with these storms, you just need to pay attention. Some of the models are still showing all the way up to a Cat 4. Some are showing absolutely nothing. And with it being as close that they are, this is kind of ridiculous because you should be able to see what they are. The models should not be all over the place like that. Not once you start getting this close. Do you understand? It's one thing when it's all the way out across the Atlantic. Yes, we don't know where the path could go and how strong it'll be. But when you start getting into these areas, you should have a pretty good, the models should be lining up, and they're not. They're all over the place. And maybe that's just because these are always just created storms, and it seems like every time they come through right here too, they get really bad, and there's a lot of different radar equipment down here, and different, isosponic heaters and all kinds of stuff down here, that maybe that's where they're building these storms, but all I know is they're messing with them, so be prepared, because I don't care what any model shows, this could come in and actually be 100% nothing, or it can do what Michael did, come in here and out of nowhere, overnight, go to a Cat 5 and go off like an atomic bomb, because these are not normal storms. I'm going to say it again. They are not normal storms. There's a reason they don't show wind speeds correctly, because they are just smaller storms that they use and manipulate. So everybody in all the Gulf Coast better be ready, because I don't care. You watch. These things are going to drop tornadoes. They're going to have massive wind damage. They're going to have flooding. It doesn't matter how big these storms are, because they're going to make sure that when these storms hit, they get to use them and destroy and create chaos, because we all know their main goal is order out of chaos. I love you all. Continue to pray against this. As you can see, we are being attacked every single day. Wildfires are horrible out west. There is so much going on. There really is. Tell your family you love them. Make a plan today, please. I'm begging you, make a plan and talk to your family, because we just don't know. You never know if we'll have tomorrow. So, everybody stay safe. We'll talk to you soon. God bless.